everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with us. Today, we're going to unlock some of the secrets behind 4 fascinating English expressions.
Ooh, I like secrets.
You'll get to know 2 idioms.
Those colorful phrases that can sometimes make English a bit puzzling.
Exactly, and 2 vocabulary words that'll definitely add some extra flair to your conversations. Ready to boost your English fluency and understanding?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, so let's crack open our first time capsule, shall we? The idiom beat around the bush. It's something we've all experienced.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe it's a friend who takes forever to get to the point of their story.
Oof, yes. Or a coworker who just dances around a sensitive topic.
Essentially, it means avoiding the main issue, but where does this expression come from?
Well, believe it or not, it actually comes from English hunting traditions.
English hunting traditions.
Yeah. Hunters would literally beat around bushes to flesh out birds hiding within.
Ah, so the birds are like the hidden topic, and we're trying to flush it out into the open. That makes total sense. The source even suggests picturing someone circling a bush without actually going in, just like they're avoiding the heart of the matter.
That's a helpful visual. And, when you think about it, beating around the bush can sometimes be more than just avoiding a topic. It can be linked to deeper psychological reasons like a fear of confrontation or a desire to protect someone's feelings.
Oh, that's a fascinating point. So sometimes it might be a deliberate strategy, not just a random rambling.
Exactly. It adds a whole new layer to the expression, doesn't it?
Ah.
Now, if you want to be more direct in your communication, there are always synonyms you can use instead, like evade, prevaricate, or dodge. Prevaricate. Now, there's a word you don't hear every day.
Right. I should try and work that one into my vocabulary. Okay, on to our next idiom one that takes us back to the days of horse-drawn carriages. Hold your horses.
I love this one.
I feel like this one's pretty self-explanatory.
It is, in a way. It's essentially a call for patience, urging someone to wait or slow down. And as you mentioned, it originates from a time when horses were a primary mode of transportation.
Right.
Imagine trying to control a team of eager horses.
Oh my God.
Hold your horses was a very literal command.
I can just picture someone pulling back on those reins. Our source suggests that as a visual memory aid, the reins representing restraint. But isn't hold your horses sometimes used in a more lighthearted or even sarcastic way?
Yeah.
Like when someone is being overly cautious about something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It can definitely be used to gently tease someone or inject a bit of humor into a situation. And of course, there are more straightforward ways to express patience, like wait, be patient, or pause. But where's the fun in that?
Right. Idioms add so much personality to language. Which brings us to our first vocabulary word, petrichor. You know that incredibly fresh, earthy scent that fills the air after a rain shower, especially on dry ground? That's petrichor.
I love that smell.
It's almost like a feeling of renewal, isn't it?
It really is. And the origin of the word is just as interesting as the scent itself. It was coined in the 1960s by 2 Australian scientists.
Really?
And comes from the Greek words petra, meaning stone, and ichor, which, in Greek mythology, was the fluid that flowed in the veins of the gods.
So it's like the essence of life being released from the earth after a rain shower. I love that. And the source even suggests a memory trick. Picturing a rain-soaked rock representing Petra, releasing the ichor or lifeblood into the air.
It's a beautiful image, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
And while petrichor doesn't have a direct synonym, you can always describe it as an earthy scent or rain scent. But those terms don't quite capture the magic of the word petrichor, do they?
No, they don't. Petrichor has such a unique evocative quality. Speaking of evocative words, let's move on to our final word for this deep dive. Elucidate. This one simply means to make something clear or explain it in detail. But as with everything we've discussed today, there's more to it than meets the eye.
There is. Elucidate comes from the Latin elucidare, a combination of e meaning out and lucid meaning clear. So you're essentially bringing something out of the darkness and into the light, making it understandable.
That's a really helpful way to think about it. It's like turning on a light bulb in a dark room.
Exactly.
Suddenly everything is illuminated. The source suggests a memory tool. Think of a teacher explaining a complex topic to their students. Or, of course, we could always just use synonyms like clarify, explain, or expound. But I think elucidate just has a certain ring to it, don't you think?
I completely agree. It adds a level of sophistication and precision to your language.
So we've covered 2 idioms and 2 vocabulary words. But before we move on to some real-world examples, I'm curious, what are your initial thoughts? Have any of these expressions stood out to you so far?
Oh, they really have. It's amazing how these expressions, whether it's an idiom rooted in history or a word with a fascinating etymology can add so much depth and richness to our communication.
Absolutely. So let's have some fun and imagine how we might use these expressions in everyday situations. Say you're at work and there's a big project everyone's buzzing about, but your manager is being super vague about the details.
Oh, that's a prime example of beating around the bush. You could say, no need to beat around the bush, just give it to us straight. What's the scoop on this project?
Perfect. Or maybe you're planning a surprise party for a friend and someone keeps trying to fish for information.
That's where hold your horses comes
Yeah.
in handy. You could say, with a playful wink, hold your horses. You'll find out soon enough. Just trust me on this one.
I love it. Okay, here's one. Imagine you're walking home after a downpour and you want to describe that amazing smell to someone.
Instead of just saying, it smells nice out here,
Mm.
you could say, wow, the petrichor is incredible after that rain.
Yeah.
Doesn't that just paint a more vivid picture?
It totally does. You'd sound like a poet. Okay, last scenario. Let's say you're trying to explain a complicated idea from a book you've been reading.
Instead of struggling to summarize, you could say, let me try to elucidate this concept for you. It sounds so much more confident and articulate, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, and it shows that you really understand the material. I think these examples really highlight how idioms and interesting vocabulary can make your English more colorful and engaging. It's
Yeah.
like adding spices to a dish a little bit. It goes a long way.
I couldn't agree more. And, mastering these nuances can be particularly helpful for those learning English. It's not just about understanding the literal meaning of words, but also grasping the cultural context in which they're used.
That's such an important point. It's about connecting with the language on a deeper level. But I want to shift gears a little bit. We've explored the history, the psychology, and even the potential humor behind these expressions. But what really fascinates me is the emotional impact they can have.
Oh, I like where you're going with this. Tell me more.
Well, for instance, the word petrichor, it's not just a scientific term for the smell of rain. It evokes a sense of nostalgia, tranquility, even a feeling of connection to nature. It's almost like a shared human experience.
You're so right. And think about hold your horses. It speaks to our universal need for patience, for restraint. We all experience moments when we need to rein ourselves in both literally and figuratively.
Exactly. These expressions tap into something deeper than just language. They connect us to shared emotions and experiences. And that's what makes language so powerful, wouldn't you say?
Without a doubt, language is the bridge that connects us to each other, to history, to emotions, and even to the natural world.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to pose a question to you, dear listener. What's resonating with you most? Which of these expressions has sparked your curiosity or triggered a memory?
Yeah, it's amazing how a simple word or phrase can unlock so many layers of meaning and even evoke such strong emotions.
Definitely.
I feel like we've barely scratched the surface.
We've certainly explored some fascinating facets of these expressions, but you're right, there's always more to uncover. Language is like a constantly evolving tapestry,
Mhm.
and each thread holds a story.
And that's what makes it so exciting to learn and explore, right? It's like a never-ending adventure. Exactly. Every conversation, every book you read, every movie you watch, it's all an opportunity to encounter new expressions and deepen your understanding of the language.
So as we reach the end of our deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought to ponder. Think about how many times you've heard these expressions: beat around the bush, hold your horses, Petrichor, elucidate, without really considering their origins or the subtle nuances they carry.
Yeah, for sure.
Now that you're armed with this knowledge, I encourage you to listen for these words and phrases in your daily life. You'll be amazed how often they pop up.
Yeah.
And you'll have a whole new appreciation for their richness and complexity.
It's like you've been given a secret decoder ring for the English language.
Precisely. And who knows, maybe you'll even find yourself using them more confidently in your own conversations. Well, that brings us to the end of another deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed exploring these fascinating English expressions with us. And remember, the journey of language learning is an ongoing one. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep having fun with it.